Everyone. This is Vishal Gyawali. Today, I want to talk about something that I see very often in social media and especially with the young generation. It's about inspiration and getting advice. People are seeking advice about all sort of matters. People are giving advice about all sort of matters. There is plenty of advice that you can get about virtually everything: how to study, how to prepare for exams, how to make money, how to be successful, how to have a good life, how to find a good girl, how to love well, how to be a good parent, how to even die peacefully. Uh, so virtually, you can find advice about anything in the internet. Um, that brings me to my point today. Like, is it okay to get advice from anyone or everyone? Uh, the the most important thing I find is, people who make a living out of giving advices are probably not the best person to give advices. Um, Taleb says this is skin in the game, and I agree to that. I mean, if you want to listen about how to make money, if you want to get advice about how to make money, then you need to get that advice from someone who has made money. If you want to get advice about how to do well in exams, you have to get that advice from someone who has done well in exams. It makes no sense in getting advice about how to be a good doctor from someone who is not a doctor himself or herself. How to get through medical entrance from someone who has failed medical entrance. How to be a millionaire from someone who himself is poor and is thinking about becoming a millionaire by selling his ideas about becoming a millionaire. I see so many of these people are saying, do this and you'll become rich, and that person himself or herself is not rich and is hoping to get rich by selling you that advice. So getting inspiration and advice is very important in life. I myself have benefited from being inspired from so many other people, but I think the first fundamental rule is to make sure that the person that you're listening to is qualified to give that advice. That person has himself achieved the benchmark of success that you want to achieve. Don't listen to the person, look what the person has done. Don't get advice from his or her mouth. Get advice and inspiration from his or her life. Look at that person's life. Is that life worthy of copying? Is that life worthy of being inspired from? Then do as the person does. Don't do as the person says. There's a saying, I think, again, this comes from Taleb, that don't tell me which stocks to buy, show me your portfolio. Or, don't tell me how to read, show me how you have read and you have excelled. Don't tell me how to fly a plane. Fly a plane and show me. So, don't get advice from random people who are just giving advice for the sake of giving advice, who don't know anything about the thing that they're talking about. Um, Again, another example, you'll see that people will say, okay, these are the top 3 cryptocurrencies that are going to change the world, and you should be buying these cryptocurrencies tomorrow. But you have to ask how many of those cryptocurrencies that particular person has bought. People will tell you, oh, you should spend your money on buying real estate. You should ask that person, how much real estate have you bought? People will tell you, oh, you should read this book and become successful in life. You should ask that person, have you read that book? How many times have you read that book? And have you achieved your dream as a result of reading that book? People will tell you, oh, this is how you date a girl. You should ask that person, have you followed that rules and how many girls have you dated? People will tell you, this is how you cook a delicious food. You should ask that person, have you cooked that delicious food and was it actually delicious? So always, always hold the person who is giving you advice to the highest possible bar. And as I said, the best lesson is to do as that person does and not to do as that person says. I might say something, but I might be doing something else. Um, if I have not, uh, if like, you should not have listened to me about how to publish a medical paper 5 years ago when I myself had zero papers. And that's the reason why I didn't give any advice to anyone about how to publish a paper 5 years ago, because I myself had zero papers. Now I have 200 papers and I can speak about how to publish a paper. 5 years ago, I had not done any medical research. I could not advise anyone on how to do a medical research. That would be hypocritical of me. But now I have done medical research and I can tell people how to do research. I have lived in Canada. I can tell people what the Canadian rules are, and how to make the most out of your life in Canada. I have lived in Japan. I can tell people about how to make the most out of your life in Japan. But I can't tell people how to live well in Sweden. I have never lived in Sweden. I don't know about it. I could Google about it and I could say random things. So this is what happens in Sweden, but that is not as good as me living in Sweden and telling you how it is like. So don't take advice from random people about random things. Uh, whenever you, because getting advice is a big deal, getting inspired is a big deal. You don't want to get advice and get inspired by people who have not achieved what they are telling you to achieve. You don't want to get advice from this is like in Nepal we have a saying that that there are people who are able to read your hand and tell your future, those fortune tellers that are on the street. And so the first question, whenever someone goes to that fortune teller and asks, "Oh, will I become a millionaire?" is, "Why do you think that fortune teller himself is not a millionaire?" So that's the fundamental question we should be asking. If someone tells you that following his or her advice will make you rich, happy, successful, whatever, first you have to evaluate whether that person is rich, happy, successful. And having said that, I firmly believe that all of us should be happy, rich, successful, and get our dreams. There is no reason why we should not get our dreams. There is no reason why we should not chase our dreams. There is no reason why we should be failures. We should be successful. But the point, and why I think we should be successful is not because that's the most important thing, but I think being successful, being happy, being rich, fulfilling our dreams makes us realize that that's not the ultimate answer. That will help us to think beyond it. Because if you are starving, if you are poor, if you are not successful, then your whole concentration will be towards achieving these goals. But once you have achieved those goals, you'll realize that that's not the ultimate answer. There is something beyond. And that's the reason why I believe everyone should be rich, happy, successful, and get their dreams. Once, let's say in a class, you want to be first, and you are not first. So you think that becoming first is the end of the world. You become first, but then that you'll realize that that's not the end of the world. You have to not finish not only a high school, there is university. You have to excel in university entrance exam. You excel in university entrance exam. You'll realize that that's not the end. You have to graduate with flying colors. You graduate with flying colors, and then you realize that that's not the end. You have a job to do. You have to find a good job. You find a good job. You realize that that's not the end. The money you are making is not enough. You have to find a better job. You have to do a better work. You have to earn more money. You do that, you'll realize that that's not the end. Your life is not fulfilled. You need a partner. You find a good partner. A couple of years are good years. You realize that okay, that's not the end. I need kids. You have kids. You realize you'll be happy for a while. You realize that okay, that's not the end. There are other people with better job than mine. There are other people with better family life than mine. There are other people who are earning more than me, you are just not happy, and you try to chase that goal. You achieve that again, but again you are not satisfied because there is something else. Um, there is always going to be something else. But once you have achieved certain level of success, you'll realize that, okay, I was always thinking about how to achieve this success or that success, but now I have achieved it, so what? And that will make you think about the actual philosophical questions that matter to us as human beings. Who am I? Why am I here? What am I meant to do? One day I was born, even without my consent. And one day I'll leave this world again without my consent. So, what was the purpose? What is this whole drama about? And what does it mean to be a human being? But you can't think about these philosophical questions when you have a rent to pay and you don't have money in your pocket. You can't think about these philosophical questions when you are hungry in a starving stomach. You can't think about these philosophical questions when you are in, even when you are in pain. So everyone should be healthy, happy, rich, successful, so that everyone will realize that that's not the end. That's not what the ultimate goal of being a human being is. Anyways, so I'll be talking about these things in my future videos as well. But first rule, don't take advice from people who themselves are not what you aspire to be. Thanks.